Prime Minister Lee says the road to recovery for Singapore will be long and hard. He says that's because of the significant structural changes to the economy caused by COVID-19. And the Prime Minister has described the pandemic as the challenge of this generation and a time for the country to prove it is worthy of its forebears. Brandon Tenoto with more.
The COVID-19 pandemic has hit open and trade-reliant economies like Singapore hard, as it's affected the movement of people and goods and permanently disrupted some industries. But the country, said the Prime Minister, will not falter.
Companies will have to change their business models to survive. Some jobs will simply disappear, and workers in these industries will have to reskill themselves to take up jobs in new sectors. But there will also be new opportunities and new jobs created. We will help companies adapt to this new operating environment and retrain workers for the new jobs available. We will not be able to save every job, but we will look after every worker.
For instance, sectors like biotech and food production are seeing higher demand and hiring more people. The government will retrain workers under Enhanced Skills Future programs. Displaced workers will be trained and matched to new job opportunities. There will also be help to ease the impact on freelancers. Mr. Lee said Singapore is also able to tap on new growth areas globally, given its connectivity and nimbleness as a small and globalized nation. The collaboration between government, employers and unions is also a key factor in the country's ability to overcome economic restructuring.
The tripartite partnership is one important example of how we work together as one nation, protect our vulnerable, and leave no one behind. This is why, when the virus started to spread in other countries, we brought overseas Singaporeans home. We did not leave them to fend for themselves. This is why we care for our migrant workers who have done much for us, as we care for Singaporeans. This is why we have taken unprecedented steps to draw upon our reserves in order to forestall retrenchments and support the low income.
The government has rolled out 3 budgets worth nearly $60 billion within a 9-week period. Still, while Mr. Lee is confident Singapore has what it takes to succeed, he urged the country not to be complacent.
The road to recovery will be long and hard. We should be under no illusion that all will be well the moment the circuit breaker period ends or the number of infections comes down. But we are not a people who will shrink from struggle. It took us blood, sweat and tears to get here. In the fight for independence, at moments of crisis, the pioneer generation showed their grit and mettle. They decided to give it their all to secure a future for themselves and their children. The Merdeka generation worked with them and took us from third world to first. Because they braved the odds and prevailed, we have today's Singapore. COVID-19 is this generation's challenge. The virus is a tough enemy, invisible, but formidable. It is now our turn to prove that we are worthy of our forebears and up to the challenge before us. And I have every confidence that we will prove more than equal to the task. I wish all Singaporeans a healthy and happy May Day.